Chaveron ben Adam Makom. You weren't here, Alex. You missed the class, but we'll try to catch up a little bit. We found that there's a mitzvah in the Torah to cling to God. Cling to God. Yeah. It says you should cling to Him. And the question always was, the question the sages asked is, how do you cling to Him if He doesn't have a body? Something to grab onto. It's hard to cling to Him. And therefore the tradition was you're supposed to cling on to the wise and their disciples, Torah scholars. And that's the best you could do. They're your avenue, they're your channel for clinging to God. And so we noticed that and so you should, try to marry the daughter of a Torah sage and eat and drink with the sages, do business on behalf of the sages, associate with them in all possible ways. Because maybe something will rub off. It's like, you work in a flower store, you get some of that aroma that rubs off. Even if you don't take home the flowers, the perfume gets on you. So we said that's an interesting, to fulfill the mitzvah of clinging to God, ben Adam lamakom, on the vertical axis, we have this mechanism of using people, special people, the sages, and ben Adam lachaviro. That's a mitzvah to honor the sages and to associate with them. And basically, we said that's why you're in Machon Meir, right? To associate with the sages, and in all possible ways, eat with them, drink with them. And that's one way of clinging to God. From there, the Rambam, at the end of the page, the first page is chapter 6, we got into the basic mitzvah, ben Adam lachavero, the root of it all, the heart of it all. Rabbi Kiva told us that this is a klal gadol b'Torah. This is a great principle in Judaism, is that every man should love each and every one of Israel as himself. As it says, love your neighbor as yourself. Avta l'recha kamocha. Then we turn the page, on the page which starts with therefore at the top of it. Good morning, good morning. Everybody grab a page and look on the side which says, therefore one should speak the praises of others and show concern for their honor. You can sit here though. Just as he's concerned with his own money and seeks his honor. Two ways in which you take care of yourself is that you take care of your honor and you take care of your money. Everybody wants to be respected, and you are no exception, and your friend is no exception. So you should make sure that he is held in high esteem. How do you do that? Speak their praises. Wow. Binyamin's a lovely hat that you have today. Thank you. Yeah, good. Okay, see that? And it's a good thing to do you know that you can get coffee and tea for free upstairs? You know where the little watering hole is? No, you don't have to go to the store to buy it. Get it for free. Just caring for your finances. I want to make sure that you don't waste your money. Just putting into practice what the Rambam says here, right? Show concern for their money, just as he's concerned for his own money. And you seek your honor. Now the opposite of that is whoever gains honor. I'm in line 3 now, from the top of the page. Everybody see where I am? Whoever gains honor through the degradation of a colleague does not share in the world to come. Ouch. Don't want to make anybody feel bad here, so I won't give you an example of that. See my nice shirt? Much nicer than his shirt. I'm pointing to somebody who doesn't exist. Just showing, just saying. I look better than he does. No portion of the world to come. Ouch. Ouch. Okay, well now we're on line 4. Loving a convert. Loving a convert is another mitzvah, ben Adam la chavero, who has come to nestle under the wings of the Shekhinah. I always wonder about this image. The Shekhinah, what's the Shekhinah?
Divine presence.
Divine presence. The word Mishkan is a place for the Shekhinah, just like Mikdash is a place for the Kodesh, just like Mizbeach is a place for Zevach. Zevach is an animal offering. Mizbeach, the altar. So Mikdash, Beit Mikdash, the holy sanctuary, is a place for holy things, for the Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Mikdash, place for Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Mishkan, the tabernacle in the desert, comes from the word Shekhinah. It's a place for the divine presence to dwell. Now, the divine presence apparently has wings. Under the wings of God, wings of the Shekhinah. Why do you think they use that? Obviously, it's a metaphor, right? We know God doesn't have a body. What is a wing a metaphor for?
Like if you understand, but also think about it, you can elevate, go up.
Good. The Shekhinah can elevate you. Good. What else? What else does wing do for you? Say again? What about it? Oh, there was in the Aron Kodesh, in the Mishkan, there was a special ark made out of gold, and on top of it there were kruvim, whatever these are, some kind of figurines with wings. Cool. That's right. So, well, why? What's the metaphor? Why did God tell us to make these kruvim with wings on it? What are wings? Protection. Yes, protection. Wings are there to protect. What are your wings? There's an expression used when you get married. The bride comes under the wings of the groom. Does he really have wings? I've never seen a groom. I do lots of weddings. I've never seen a groom with wings. So what does it mean? We say that sometimes when he takes his talit and puts it over her. Actually, the chuppah itself, in some ways, is under the wings of the chatan. So what do the wings represent? Protection.
The convert is under the protective wings of Shekhinah.
The wings of the exactly. That's what the Rambam says in line 4 here. Do you have it? Loving a convert who comes to nestle under the wings of the Shekhinah. Yeah, I guess it's a metaphor for protection and under the purvey. It's like you're in charge. God's in charge of you. God's in charge of everything, but He's more in charge of you when you're part of the Jewish people. Jewish people have an extra level of protection, apparently, extra level of closeness. It also represents intimacy, right? Can I? Share a hug, right? Coming under my wings, right? What are my wings? I don't have real wings, but I have arms, right? I have arms. So you give someone a hug. Come on, give me it. Come on, get it. The wings of the Shekhinah. It's like you're getting a hug from God. It's like a husband and wife, right? The kruvim were hugging each other, according to our sages. Kruvim, when the Jewish people were doing well, they were hugging each other. When the Jewish people were sinning, back to back. There weren't not too much hugging, back to back. Anyways, the wings are out there to reach out to the other. The wings connect you to others. Anyways, God protects the Jewish people. He's intimate with the Jewish people. And so a convert comes to nestle under the wings of the Shekhinah. So if you love Him, you fulfill 2 positive commandments. One, for He's included among the neighbors, who we are commanded to love, because it says love your neighbor as yourself. And secondly, because he's a convert. And Torah states you should love the converts. So you get double love if you're a convert. Nice. Unfortunately, I was born a Jew, as far as I know. I don't have the merits to be able to convert. The Piasetzner Rabbi, a famous Rabbanim who was martyred in the Holocaust. Great educator. He writes in one of his journals very inspiring words. On his 40th birthday, he very openly he shares his thoughts of such a great tzaddik, very telling and very beautiful. And he writes on his 40th birthday, what doing what's called cheshbon nefesh. What's cheshbon nefesh?
Count of the soul.
Account of yourself, right? Taking accounting. End of year, what's it called? Inventory, right? So taking inventory of his life. What do I need? And now it's my birthday. Birthday is not just, hey, by the way, today, it's my birthday. It's my English birthday. It's not really my birthday. My Hebrew birthday was a couple weeks ago, but June 25th is the day that I grew up celebrating anyways. Now it's called the Facebook birthday. But anyways, people come over and say to me, happy birthday. Say, smile, say thank you. Thank you. So I should, but really birthdays are for doing inventory. Wow. How old am I? Scary, huh? Getting on. Closer to the other side, who knows? So you think about what are your goals in life, and what's good in your life, what's bad in your life, what needs fixing. So you do inventory. So the Piatzesa Rebbe turned 40, and he tells us what he was thinking. He was thinking, what am I lacking? What am I yearning for? What do I really need? A scholarship. I'm a pretty smart guy. Learned a lot of Torah. He davens a lot. He, does chesed. He founded a school for kids. He was a great educator. What am I missing? He says, what's wrong with me? What do I need to improve on in my religious life? And he says, really, what I really, really want is to be a Jew. Of course he was Jewish. So what does he mean that I just want to be a Jew? Really be a Jew, to feel like a Jew. Really what I'm really missing, what I want to convert. I wish I could be a convert. The convert becomes a Jew. He chooses to nestle under the wings of the Shekhinah. So yeah, I was born that way. You don't feel it. You don't appreciate it. Amazing. Anyways, so convert gets double love. Unfortunately, sometimes the converts get even less love than a regular Jew, and that's a big problem we have to fix. Bezrat Hashem, we'll do what we can to love the converts. In any case, now, how do we know that loving a convert is so special? The Rambam not only did that it's a double mitzvah of love, but he says there's a proof, amazing proof. Thus, God has commanded us concerning the love of a convert, just as He commanded us concerning loving Himself. As Deuteronomy 11 states, you shall love God, your Lord. It says you shall love. Deuteronomy 10:19, it states, right? You see that in the 6th line? You shall love the converts. And it also says you shall love God, your Lord. There's a parallel. The Rambam makes a parallel. He says, just like you have to love Hashem, you have to love a convert. I think that's very telling. And this is not my own idea. The Rav Hutter brings this idea as well. And he says, why should you love the convert? Why did the Torah have a special mitzvah to take care of the convert? One interpretation is, many people stop at that, and they say, well, the convert is at a disadvantage. Because he comes from another country, doesn't have family here, he doesn't know the language, doesn't know the culture, like everybody underprivileged in society. And, sometimes the Torah puts together the ger, the yatom, and the almanah. Yatom is an orphan, and almanah is a widow. So, Nebuch, he's a convert. He doesn't have family. He doesn't have an economic support system. So you should take care of him. That's one way of reading the Torah. However, what the Rambam is pointing out here, that's not what it is. That's maybe one aspect. And it's true at some level. We have to make sure that everybody disadvantaged in society has to be taken care of. We should be not showing privilege. The other side of the coin, though, is he compares it to loving God. God is not underprivileged. God is not lacking strength or power. You shall love God. In other words, why do we love God? Wow. He's amazing. He's inspirational. Hashem is worthy of our appreciation and love because of who He is and what He's done. That's why we love Hashem. We say it in the Shema every day. V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha. With all your heart and all your soul and all your might. So too, we should love a convert. Not because he's underprivileged. Because he has so much to inspire us. What a great thing he's done. To come when you're not obligated in all the mitzvot, and to come and to obligate yourself. You weren't part of the Jewish people. You don't have to suffer anti-Semitism. Could have remained a non-Jew and lived a happy life. But no, he wanted it. He wanted that closeness. And it must have been a special individual to put himself sometimes through quite a journey to convert. So I know some people that had to do a Brit Milah not once, but twice. Don't want to think about what that means. Not twice, but 3 times or 4 times even.
4 times?
Yeah! Unbelievable. People are so dedicated and they just love the Jewish people and they love the Torah so much. They do that. So we have to, just like we look up to Hashem and appreciate who He is, we have to look up to a ger, a convert, and appreciate who He is and what He's done. And so this is this comparison to loving God and should love the convert. This appears in the Rambam here, that this comparison I think is very telling why we love Him and how we love Him. We don't love Him because He needs us. We love Him because we appreciate who He is and what He did. There's another passage where it says, you should love the convert because you were all converts in Egypt. You were a foreigner in Egypt. So how do you interpret that? So one way you could think is, well, you were at a disadvantage in Egypt. You were a foreigner in a different country. You had no family. You had no rights. And so when someone is a foreigner in your land, you should be sensitive to that. Because you yourself were at a disadvantage, so you should pay attention and appreciate, be sensitive. Somebody's at a disadvantage. But there's another interpretation of that as well. You should love the convert because you were comforts in Egypt, meaning the Jewish people. They accepted Hashem. They went out into the desert, following Hashem's calling to be a special people to them. And so it's not because we were weak, but because you should appreciate that. Just like the Jewish people were dedicated to Hashem when they came out of Egypt, so too the convert is dedicated to Hashem when he's coming in to join the Jewish people. It's beautiful ideas. Similar to what Rav Hutner said about the Rambam, comparing the love of God to the love of converts. The Holy One, blessed be He, Himself loves converts, as it states, and He loves converts. Ohev ger, says Hashem loves converts. So if you love Hashem, and Hashem loves converts, right? So if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C, right? Little logic, little. You know that your wife loves dandelions, so you get her some dandelions. She loves them, you love her, so you go and buy some dandelions. If your wife likes cats. That's too much. All right, but you get the point. The point is that if Hashem loves converts and you love Hashem, for sure you should love the converts. Hashem appreciates the converts. It says that Hashem loves the converts. One of the midrashim says that, of course I love the converts. I have a flock of sheep. In the metaphor, the Jewish people are like sheep. And all of a sudden, I was grazing my sheep in the wilderness, and a deer comes and joins the flock. He goes wherever the shepherd tells him to go. They go right, they go left. He brings them into the corral. The deer entered the corral. He wanted to be part of the flock. Wow, that deer is different. The owner of the flock, the deer is very dear to him. He's not a natural part of the group, but he wanted to be part. Jewish people, they had to accept the Torah at Mount Sinai. They held the mountain over their heads. He held the mountain over their head. This deer, he joins out of his own accord. It shows that he wants to be part of the flock. So of course, the deer is very dear. The convert is very dear to Hashem. So if Hashem loves the converts, so for sure we should all love the converts as well. Anyways, this is the next part of convert is a person. So we have to be very sensitive to the converts. The Rambam, from the way the sources that he brings and what he compares it to, I think he's teaching us something about how to relate to the converts. Now we go back to the mitzvah to love every Jew. Okay, so far so good?
Yeah.
We go on to the next line is whoever hates a fellow Jew in his heart transgresses the Torah prohibition. So Leviticus 19:17 states, do not hate your brother in your heart. Hey, wait a minute, 19:17. Does anybody recognize that verse? Go back, previous page, the bottom. Love your neighbor as yourself was 19:18. The two verses right next to each other. One speaks to your positive commandment, love your neighbor, and the other one is a negative commandment, lo taseh, prohibition. You're not allowed to hate your neighbor. So not only is it one mitzvah, but it's two mitzvahs, it's positive and a negative. Sometimes we find that in the Torah, that there's when Torah wants to emphasize something and stress it, so it gives not only one mitzvah, but two mitzvahs. One's a positive and one's a negative. So the Torah, whoever hates a fellow Jew transgresses the Torah prohibition. One is not liable for lashes for violating this prohibition because no deed is involved. Okay, halacha is a legal system. Legal system has to be adjudicated by the courts. The courts cannot punish you for hating. It's in your heart. They say, hey, I see you're hating him. How can you tell? I'll deny it. There's a rule that you cannot, the Beit Din cannot administer lashes. This is one of the punishments used by the Beit Din in the day. By the Beit Din in the day, it has to be an action. They only prohibitions which involve an action. Hating in your heart apparently is not an action, so there's no lashes. It's not punishable by lashes, but it is a prohibition. Standard is every prohibition in the Torah is punishable by lashes, unless you've got an exemption. You get an exemption for everything that doesn't have an action. There's other exemptions as well, but this is the rules of the way halachic system works. Yes.
What about speech?
Good question. He's going to talk about speech a little bit later. I believe it's also not considered to be an action. Therefore, there's no lashes administered for somebody who... Verbal abuse. Yeah, there's no lashes, but definitely forbidden from the Torah. Just the Beit Din doesn't have the power to punish. Now, the Beit Din has lots of power to give lashes, rabbinic lashes. Nowadays, we use jail. It's considered more humane. Although I'm not sure. It depends on the jail, it depends on the lashes. But there is such a concept that, because the Beit Din has to use other punishments, or society would, just be a haven for criminals. But the Torah's descript, list of 365 prohibitions, officially the punishment is lashes for most of them, not if there's no action. Okay, the Torah only warns us against hating in our hearts. However, a person who beats a colleague or insults him, right, you guys were saying, what about verbal abuse? Although he is not permitted to do so, does not violate the prohibition, you shall not hate.
Even beating.
there's another problem of beating someone. You have to pay for it, causing someone bodily harm. But the hating aspect, you could beat someone as a hired hand. You're not hating him. You're just very violent. Some individuals are just, brute, very violent people, but they're not really haters. There's two. The Rambam's saying, as a legalist, we have to separate between the actions and the hating. The hating, the Rambam's very stressing that it's a prohibition in your heart. It's a feeling towards your friends, your neighbor, your fellow Jew. You're not allowed to hate him. You can beat him. No, you can't beat him either, but for another reason. You can insult him, but you won't necessarily be transgressing hating him unless you hate him in your heart. Insulting him? That's right. You can be beating him. That's on behalf of baiting. So that's, but clearly you're not hating him. You just want him to, trying to force him to do something. There's some cases where the baiting does force people to do things. But in any case, you do not violate the prohibition unless you actually hate. And why is this important? Because the Rambam goes on and says, well, how do you do that? How can you control your emotions? The focus here is on an emotion. The hatred in your heart. You don't like the way somebody looks. He offends you. You hate him. You don't like the way he behaves. It's a feeling in your heart. Can you stop yourself? The answer is, must be. Someone offends you. Someone's mean to you. You're going to hate him. Can you stop yourself from hating him? Say again? It's very hard. So the Rambam understands that chapter, verse, Leviticus 19, 17, and 18 gives you a package deal. Quickly, let's open it up. Quickly. Vayikra 19, verse 17. It's on page 223. Starts off 17. Lo tisnat achicha bilvavecha. Do not hate your brother in thine heart. Page 223. Whoever's using these books. 223. That's Vayikra 19, 17. Do not hate your brother in thine heart. Hocheach tocheach atamitecha. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, meaning very surely you shall rebuke your neighbor. Hocheach tocheach in Hebrew. Velo tisal avchet, and not suffer sin upon him. I'm continuing to verse 18. Lo tikom velo titorot b'nei amecha. Do not, thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of the people. Ve'avta l'reacha kamocha. But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Okay, so we see these two verses. The Rambam told us go together. It starts with do not hate, which is the flip side of love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. The end of verse 18. The end and the beginning. What do we have in the middle? We have in the middle something about rebuking and not avenging or not bearing a grudge. So if we go back to the Rambam explains that these are connected. These are not separate mitzvot. You should rebuke your neighbor. No. Don't do that. Why? Rambam says as follows. Back to the Rambam. When one person wrongs another, I'm back on the page now, on line 10 from the top of the page, the Rambam writes, when one person wrongs another, the latter should not remain silent and despise him. As Samuel states concerning the wicked, Avshalom did not speak to Amnon neither good nor bad, for Avshalom hated Amnon. Hatred comes when you don't talk. when you don't speak to him. Rather, he's commanded to make the matter known and ask him, why did you do this to me? Why did you wrong me regarding the matter? As Leviticus 19:17 states, you shall surely admonish your colleague. Okay, so reading the verse as a package, 17 and 18, it starts with don't hate, it ends with love. What's going to foster that love? If someone wronged you, what do you got to do? Yes, there's something you got to do. You got to talk to him. Rebuke him. Ask him. The Rambam says, rebuke him, not just hit him over the head. It means give him a chance to explain himself. Maybe through dialogue, you'll be able to understand why he did that. Maybe he'll understand that he was wrong and he'll ask forgiveness. Who knows? But when you see inside the verse, the way the Torah presents it, these are not just a list of commandments between man and man. Okay, you've got to rebuke. What's the one that's missing here is do not avenge, do not take revenge. Okay, you're not supposed to take revenge. But in the context, we see that it's all part of fostering the love. Bearing a grudge in your heart, right? That's the example he brings us from Avshalom. He was angry at Amnon. What did Amnon do?
His sister Tamar.
That's right, he raped his sister. He raped his sister Tamar. Avshalom was angry at him. Justifiably so. Amnon did a horrible thing. And yet, still, the Rambam seems to say he was not, Avshalom was not acting properly. Because he hated him. And you're not allowed to hate him. What should he have done? Should he have done nothing? Maybe he should have avenged his sister's honor. Well, he should have spoken to Amnon, and maybe there would have been a better outcome. Because what happens at the end?
His servant is killed.
Amnon gets killed, and then Avshalom has to get killed. And so we have the King David is sorry for both of his sons that died. And of course, for his, it's not that Amnon did the right thing, but this was not the right attitude, to just leave it inside and keep the hate inside you. Get it out. Get it out by speaking to the person who wronged you. All right? Yes?
What if the person isn't receptive?
Isn't
receptive?
Yes, well, that's the next line in the Rambam. Next line in the Rambam. If afterwards the person who committed the wrong asks his colleague to forgive him, he must do so. Person should not be cruel when forgiving, as implied by Genesis 20. And Avram prayed to God. Who did Avram pray for? Genesis 20, verse 17.
The king.
Stone. Not stone.
The king who, I forgot his name.
Sarah.
The king who took Sarah.
Abimelech.
Yeah, I think it was Paro, king of Egypt, actually. Paro, it wasn't Paro? It was Abimelech. Yeah, Abimelech. And his whole household was, it happened twice, but Abimelech is the one where he prayed for him. He asked for, so Abraham prayed for him, he forgave him. So he's supposed to be forgiving. But if he doesn't ask for forgiveness, it sounds like you don't have to forgive. If you're wronged, you're wronged. Right? It says here, if someone says he's sorry, ask forgiveness, then you should forgive him. Okay. We'll have to learn more about the rules of rebuking. We'll see next time, because there's quite a few passages now. The next 5 halachot in the Rambam is about how to rebuke someone. We see where it starts, though. The context he puts it in, it's part of fostering love and staying away from hatred. When the hatred, it festers in your heart if you don't. Someone wrongs you, you don't speak to him. Yeah. It's complicated. There's other reasons why you hate people. Not only because they wronged you. Sometimes you just hate him because you don't like the way he looks. Or sometimes you hate him because of damage he did to someone else. Maybe it's justified to hate him if he's against Torah. It's complicated. Rambam gives us a basic case. in principle, you're not supposed to hate any Jew. And maybe if he did something wrong, maybe you'll be allowed to hate him, but first you've got to rebuke him. So if you see that guy, I don't know, driving on Shabbat, violating the Shabbat, we have to keep Shabbat. See that guy who's maybe, I don't know, not, he's swearing or bothering this girl. Not behaving right. I hate that guy. You're not allowed to. Until you admonish him. You have to strike up a conversation. If you're not able to, well then, you're not allowed to hate him yet. You haven't done your due diligence. Sounds like if you want to be able to be allowed to hate someone for a justified reason, you've got to first rebuke him. Now we'll see next week, with Hashem, we'll learn in a little more greater detail. The laws of rebuke are not so simple. So it could be you would only not so fast to think that you're justified to go around hating people because of all the bad things they did. Definitely if someone wrongs you, you know you can't hate him unless you speak to him. Try to appease him or ask him, give him an opportunity to ask forgiveness. And Bezrat Hashem, we'll see some more of these laws next week. Bezrat Hashem, we covered some good ground today, starting with the converts, moving on to the prohibition equivalent to the mitzvah to positively love. You're not allowed to hate any other Jew. Have a great, great week full of lots of love.